When I first bought my Nikon Z5 here, I was concerned with the battery life. It was advertised to only be rated for 390 shots on a single charge of this EL15C battery, which was the upgraded battery for this camera and had a higher capacity. Now, I had a Nikon D3500 before this, and that battery lasted forever. You could shoot upwards of 2,000 to 3,000 photos on a single battery on the D3500, and never had an issue. I never had to worry about the battery going dead. So when I saw this was advertised for 390 shots, that to me threw a red flag in the air. I did like that it has the capability of charging while shooting through the USB-C port on the side. I bought a USB-C power bank and use it when I'm shooting for long term, and it was kind of my safety net just in case the camera didn't work out the way I wanted it to. I use this camera mostly for my professional stuff, which is portraits and family and lifestyle photos, and my personal projects, which is wildlife photography. So when I do wildlife photography, I'm very constrained with how often I can carry all of my gear, and also I'm constrained by how often I can move and change out a battery if I need to. If there's an animal or a deer or something right in front of me, I can't go flipping through things to change gear out while that's happening. I need to be able to shoot. So I took this out for a test when I first bought it. It came with the Nikon Yellow program. I bought it straight from Nikon itself, and that Yellow program gives you a 30-day money-back guarantee if you don't like it, and that was going to be the make or break for me, was the battery life. If the battery was true to its rating of 390, I wasn't going to stick with it. That's way too low for what I use it for. I can't be changing out batteries every 390 shots. So I took it out and wanted to set it to the test, especially because of how the D3500 was rated for around 1,500 photos. You know, it's a smaller camera and it's has less features, and its main thing was for a travel camera. So the D3500 was set for 1,500 photos, and it always exceeded that. I was hoping for the same for the Nikon Z5. So I took it out for a couple of days, went to the woods and took pictures of a lot of deer, a lot of wildlife. I've taken this with me on a few of my professional shoots where I had family photos and things like that done. And consistently, I've taken well over 1,000 photos, usually around 1,200 to 1,500, before the battery hit around 20%. So this camera, from my experience, which has been the last couple of months, has been nothing but great when it comes to battery life, well above its rated expectation, which is weird because I was surprised they rated it so low. As far as the battery life, I wasn't sure if that meant for continuous usage or what it was, but I did a more controlled test where I took the camera and I went ahead and took, let's see, I took 1,716 pictures on this camera, mostly of a can of seltzer that was sitting here on my desk here. And if you go to the menu, you can actually see what the battery life is. Now, the battery life after 1,716 continuous pictures is currently at 94%. 94%, and that was just me sitting there holding the button down, literally sitting there holding the button down, waiting for the card to catch up, because I think the buffer is, a little slower. I have some slower SD cards in there, and then shooting, and then shooting, and then shooting. And this is while the rear LCD was on, and I did a bunch of them while holding it up with the electronic viewfinder, kind of to give it a little variation. And it still was at 94%, which kind of blows me away just a little bit. I tested it both on the Nikon's official EL15C battery, as well as two other aftermarket batteries, and I got similar results from all three of those batteries, telling me that this camera will not die as far as what it's advertised to die as. I took it out to the woods and I took some video as well, and I was running probably like 5-6 minute video clips at a time. And as I was running that video, I wondered if the video was what was really going to drain this battery, and I had similar results. I still had over 1,000 pictures, and I had probably 20 or 30 video clips that are about a minute or two each, and the battery was still above about 20%. So it has a nice lifespan on the battery, and the reason I'm really doing this video is because I searched and searched and searched because it's a newer camera, and I couldn't find any real world examples of if the battery life was higher than expectation. I asked in a couple of Facebook groups and they gave me some varying answers. Some people said it lasted them 700 shots, other people said they lasted about 1,000 shots, and that was good enough for me to go out and test it myself. Now, in controlled setting, obviously, it is lasting longer. I'm assuming that's because the screen is on for less. The LCD display, as well as the electronic viewfinder here, is probably what drains the battery a lot more than taking the photo itself, I would assume, especially if you're powering on and it's looking around and displaying the whole screen in the back. I would assume that is going to drain the battery quite a bit. But in my experience from being out there on a photo shoot, doing a family photo shoot outdoors, where we're walking around, the camera is always on, the screen is always on, and your view, whether you're looking at it or not, the screen is turned on, and you're walking around with these people and posing them and moving them back and forth and then taking a bunch of shots, then moving around again and taking a bunch of shots. I would come home with upwards of 800 photos from any of those 1 to 2 hour sessions, and out of those photos I would, see the battery at around 50%, sometimes more. So it's way above its advertised rating, which is awesome. So if you were searching for this video and looking for information on the Z5's battery life, take it from my testing as far as real world testing and sitting at home and holding the shutter down, the battery life far exceeds the advertised amount. So yeah, that's all I have to say on the matter for the Z5. So far I really love it, and if you're looking to get this camera, I highly recommend it. If you're upgrading from something like I had, which was a D3500, it is definitely a nice step into full frame, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Otherwise, if this helped you out, like, subscribe, leave a comment if you have any other questions, and I'll be sure to get back to you. All right, thanks. See you in the next one.